There comes a point when you realize you can no longer live divided. You can no longer be two, what you show the world and what screams inside you. It is at this exact moment, when the pain can no longer fit inside you, that the true healing process begins. For Carl Jung, this is the start of individuation, the psychological process by which the individual stops being a puppet of their masks and unconscious wounds and begins to become who they really are. But don't be mistaken. Individuation is not a beautiful or light path. It is a confrontation. You will have to face everything you have avoided. Your insecurities, your traumas, your self-destructive patterns. You will have to open your eyes to the games you created yourself. And accept that at many moments, you were complicit in the pain you suffered. Not because you wanted to suffer, but because you didn't know how to live any other way. Because your identity was shaped by absence, the need for approval, the fear of being rejected. Individuation begins the moment you stop chasing those who do not see you and start looking at yourself with brutal honesty. When you question, why do I abandon myself so much to keep the other close? What am I trying to compensate for? What part of me do I give away every time I beg for love? These questions are painful, but they are what tear the veil of illusion. In this process, you begin to reclaim the lost parts of your soul. Every boundary you set, every time you choose silence instead of begging, every time you say no instead of bending, you're saying yes to your deepest self. You are breaking away from the false self that was created to please and building a new self, more whole, more complete, more free. And here is the most powerful point. When you reconnect with your center, the other stops being your salvation. You no longer need to be accepted to feel worthy. You no longer need to beg for affection to feel complete. Because you return to inhabit your own body, your own space, your own truth. Jung said that individuation is the realization of the self, the core of who you are, free from the masks of the persona and the tyranny of the shadow. It is at this point that you realize you do not need those who hurt you to feel alive. You just needed to remember that your pain is not who you are. It is merely a chapter of your story. But before concluding this journey, there is still one last step: understanding what all of this means in practice. How to apply this knowledge in everyday life. How to truly break this bond with those who hurt you. And more importantly, how to transform this break into inner power. You made it this far because deep down, you already knew something needed to change. Maybe you couldn't name the pain. Maybe you thought it was weakness, neediness, dependency. But now you understand. It was the call of your soul. A silent scream saying that you have endured too much, that you have sacrificed too much, that you have distanced yourself so much from yourself that you can hardly recognize yourself in the mirror anymore. Letting go is not about forgetting. It's not about erasing memories or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about understanding, accepting, and releasing. It's realizing that the person who hurt you was part of a chapter, but doesn't need to be present in the next pages. That maintaining a bond with those who destroy you is like trying to cross the ocean dragging an anchor. You will sink before you get anywhere. And don't be fooled. Letting go hurts. Breaking invisible ties requires strength. Because you are not just leaving someone behind. You are burying expectations, fantasies, idealized versions, hopes that never materialized. But this pain is sacred because it is the pain of rebirth. It is the necessary mourning for you to return to yourself, so that finally you can occupy the space that was once dominated by the absence of the other. You no longer need to diminish yourself to fit into tight relationships. You no longer need to mold yourself to the expectations of those who do not see your essence. The time has come to choose yourself, to put yourself first, not out of selfishness but out of integrity. Because as long as you keep trying to save broken ties, you will always be moving away from your own salvation. Carl Jung said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you really are. And perhaps this is the most courageous choice you can make right now. Not trying to change the other, not trying to fix the past, but deciding with all the firmness of your soul that you will live from your truth, without masks, without shackles, without repeating patterns that only hurt you. So tell me, what do you need to let go of to finally set yourself free? Write it in the comments. Use this space as a cutting ritual, a symbolic act of liberation. Write as if you were saying this to yourself, because you are. And if this message touched you, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Here, you won't find easy answers, but you will find deep truths that can change the course of your life. And one more thing, don't stop here. The next video is just as important as this one. It may bring exactly the missing piece to complete this puzzle.